Good evening, TNT family. Welcome back to Yellow is the Cool program. We have Mr. Vid Ram with us, and we also have civil engineer Ken Dalchan. We have Mr. Suman Singh, our surgeon specialist from Venezuela, Mr. Dr. Parum Maraj. We're going to go live, but what seems to be very concerning to us tonight, and that we're going to be discussing is the level of corruption, mismanagement at the NCRHA, and I mean the fund spend, the lack of care and that has taken place. I mean, it is so horrendous. So, Mr. Siram, I want to welcome you back to Yellow is the Code. I mean, seeing the level of things happen there, we'd like to hear your perspective and the team on this. Go ahead, gentlemen.
Yes. Thank you. Thanks for everyone. It's a good while I've not been on. I've been pretty busy actually. But that is so true. When a government has been in power for so long, all the rules and regulations and protocols and so on gets thrown through the window. And since there have been no real objections over the last two terms, 10 years, it has become the norm. And the question of sole select and so on is a major problem. Despite we have the procurement legislation, we have proper procedures with regards to the behavior of ministers, the code of conduct. Uh, we have protocols and proper behavior and so on with regards to the civil servant. But all of that has been thrown through the windows. And since that, even if the population discover some irregularities and make a noise, nothing is being done. And one of the major events that occurred is when the prime minister interfered with the process for the
Police
police commissioner. I thought that was horrific. Going to the president and interfering in the process. And quite frankly, both should have resigned and taken to task for it. That is the prime minister as well as the president. But the point I'm making, it has become so prevalent that people get discouraged, the population get discouraged and adopt the attitude that nothing will ever be done to correct these things. And I'm glad our minister has brought it to the fore. And I think what needs to be done for two reasons. One is to correct what has been happening, and who has done the wrong, let them pay the penalties. And secondly, is to set a precedent for the current government and the officers to know, look, if you are caught in any corruption, you'll be dealt with accordingly, and let us bring the system back on track. So I'm glad that this has occurred. So it's a question now of making sure that there's a follow through and there are results of any investigation.
Yes,
Sumanta, you want
but
to jump in? Go ahead.
yes, but isn't there laws in place to prosecute public servants or wrongdoers in this regard? I'm asking that question. I'm sure there is because people have been prosecuted before. But I will maintain my position is that the system is deliberately broken by the PNM ministers and the elites to facilitate these wrongdoings so they can do whatever they want. They're tracking of where and who and how much and so on. Unless you do an audit, you cannot see the magnitude of these things because nobody knew this was happening all the time. And the audit trail from year over the year should have picked that up. But when these things are not done on time and so on, this problem persists. Now, when this problem persists, most likely, more often than not, is some senior officers signing off on these things. But these senior officers, they have retired or resigned 2, 3, 5 years ago. So how do you go after them? And the PNM has so engineered the system. They know how to. Thievery is something they can implement right away. They know the drill in these
But
things
Suman, for
without,
the last 10 years, Faris
without
gallivanting himself in the parliament for
yeah,
white collar crime, right?
yeah.
Look at the amount of money spent here. We have to preach and sing this, like Sundar Popo here, because I mean to see
Right?
the kind of money wasted, right?
Ministers and so on get car allowance to bring in cars and so on. Over the past 5 years, one minister have brought in 3 cars. But tell me, is
150 cars rented for the NCRHA, and they can't find these cars. Okay, wastewater pump not working. I mean, they had to repair the electrical system. I mean, over 100 beds is needed. Go ahead.
so what I'm saying, Gary, these things are deliberately maneuvered to suit the PNM. PM permanent secretaries toe the line when they're in power, when PNM is in power. When any other party, you have to cross the dots and the T's. So I think the PNM, you got to give them credit for that in the wrong way though, that they know how to really thief the system and beat the system without being prosecuted, and that is the important point.
But I wonder
Because
what the DPP, he kind of cockeye or something, because I mean the level of corruption we have seen being revealed, right? So Dr. Gopi Singh was able to save 22 million here on the security contracts being given, right? And no tenders, no contract, and that's given. I mean, I would like to know who these companies are who benefited. And we have to go back. We have to go back to how the COVID situation was managed, and who benefit from the
Mhm.
from those contracts where you were quarantining people. Who benefit from that? All these companies. We need a list of who benefit.
Gary, there was 80 million in expired drugs. How can a situation like that come about? I asked that question. $80 million in expired drugs? Who
US
knows whether
or city?
who knows whether they brought these drugs expired and everything was a hush hush and that's it? Who knows? We don't know. Nobody knows.
Listen,
So
within this 5 years of UNC, I want to see some people lock up.
I
I
want to
want to
say,
see some people lock up.
I tell you, they have 1,500 people to lock up. 1,500 of them. And not only that, squeeze their pensions and gratuities and all this thing, freeze it. Because these guys, plenty people going on administrative leave. That means for years, 2 years, 3 years, and so on. Well, like what's happening in the ADB right now. People just gone on an administrative leave because of wrongdoing. That means they're home getting paid as usual. So there is a win-win situation. The home, they had to go to work and they're getting paid for 2 years and 3 years.
And Suman, you know who is the biggest loser here?
You and I,
The
bro.
taxpayers.
You
The
and I.
hard-working, productive members of society are the biggest losers. Right?
Yes. And these things persist. These things persist.
Well, the thing is, a lot of these officials feel as though the public funds are there to squander and waste, and it's for trial and error projects. If it work, it work. If it don't work, we break it down, we do it over again. Right? I'll give you a classic case. The lighthouse there. They put some pumps during the PNM, they put some pumps and water pumps and stuff there, and it was a total disaster. Right? It actually exacerbated the flooding problem in South Key. Right? And there's evidence of that. I posted the video many times. But till this day, no one will take responsibility because again, public funds are to be wasted, right? whether we have it or not. And that has to stop.
So the day begin to hold public officials for their inefficiencies and their wrong decision making, that's the day we can start to reconstruct, our expenditure on, items. Because once it's public funds, yeah, right through, man, PS and so on, whoever is in government or my party in government, yeah, you go ahead. Even though, PSs have a limit of $1 million as their limit to approve.
Just if I may say something, say for example, if they were expired drugs of over 80 million, that has to be thoroughly investigated as to why. Is it a systems problem? Is it a people's problem? Is it a managerial problem? Is it a combination of all three? So one is discovering it, but secondly is to make sure that the system and people, proper persons and so on, the problems have been remedied so it doesn't occur again. Because what I've found in organization is that, and I have a case that I'm dealing with in one of the companies, is that they have not been given the job descriptions, and their defense is management never brought it to my attention, so I didn't know what I was supposed to do, and I've been doing what I found what being done before. So I've been just following the common practice, which is quite contrary to what ought to have been done. So I think there's a lot of work that discovering these irregularities, one, but correcting it is extremely important to ensure that at the end of the 5-year term, that we can say that, look, we have corrected it and effectively saved X amount of dollars. But very important is that those who have been responsible have been dealt with one way or the next.
Yes, agreed. But again, you see, if you had even your internal audits department would have picked up the date of purchase of these drugs and alert the management. That is internal, not the external audit. That is an internal audit. Would have picked that up and say, hey, we spent 80 million on drugs. That is inventory. Whoever is in charge of the inventory in NIPDEC or whoever would have been able to say that. But the question is, how come these things were only discovered only when the UNC won the election? Nobody mentioned about these things before.
All right. That can I jump in there a little bit there? You see, when there is something going on of negligence or of convenience of corruption, there's no auditors. There's no convenience for auditors. Remember, auditors are partial. They do not take for any side, or they go by norms of Covenil, ISO 9000. They go by those laws and regulations, international laws, right? On quality on medications, and it has to abide by biological laws of medicine. Have to be abide on storage and transport. Storage is different, transport is different, and where you will who or what date it is to be placed on. Now, when these things happen in any country, you can have that is to be noticed. Is to be noticed immediately, and there's immediate refund on the company who administrate how you say, sell or provides the medication to return everything, right? That's the insurance that any medical facility has. Now, when it has gone, these type of things pass is because there was a purchase on the price of this charge, right? So what cost 80 million? Who knows? It might cost $200,000 or $1 million, let's say, right? And to pass, there is need to put these documents that they were bought medication to justify money or funds to justify the funds that was there. But someone discovered now that all have expiry date. So next thing as well, you said they have these corrupted fellas or official has 2, 3 years or 5 years have retired. That does not mean that you are free, right? That you are free. You can commit a crime 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I know here in Venezuela, no, 10 years, 20 years ago, and they discover you go to jail. You understand? So crime is whether for any citizen has to be punished, whether it's UNC, PNM, ANR, or whoever it is, has to be punished severely, right? And we should not have the forgiving hand because he was a minister or he's my friend or something like that. No. And these people who have evidence that there is evidence showing of their negligence or their criminal activities should be placed in jail immediately. What is happening is, what I know about law is a constitutional law abolish a no constitutional law. There are laws that are made to defend a criminal or defend a person or individual who is in a high-ranking position. He can use that law that is not constitutional to save himself or to do any illegal activities, right? So the laws in Trinidad are perfectly, but what happened is these fellas know how to bend these laws on their needs, on their program.
But Doc, they are able to do this because we have a PNM law association. We have a PNM justice system. We have a PNM police force. We have a PNM DPP. So
Public
okay,
service.
so they don't see. We have a cockeyed justice system. They only see one corner.
Yes. One
You understand?
coin to fill their pockets. You see, if you look at criminal activities for the past 10 years, Trinidad has gotten worse. Now, these people are still in position, a strategical position. Let's say police, army. How you say this one in the airport? How you call these people? Who brings in immigration? How you call these other people? Customs.
Immigration, customs, and they have the
Customs.
airport authority there.
Yes, you see, when you change the government, right? You have to put people who you can trust. You see, because therefore these people who are inside will always sabotage you to make you look bad, and to keep you fighting. When you keep fighting and do not cut the head off at once, you will be occupied in fighting and you will not be concentrated in having better performance, better quality. So I not agree that you have a strategical position. For example, the president or the CEO of the airport, that is a person who have to have experience of immigration, experience in how you say these taxpayers, customs, has to have management. Not just put a guy there who puts on a red jersey and he says PNM and this. No. You understand? And most of there are guys who have military experience, police experience as well. Put them there in that position, right? Where they are qualified for. Now, these things, the PNM government has this friend thing, this friend thing. You give my friend the contract, and that is where the corruption is. So how can, when these people are in proper position, they can put nobody in jail because they have their tails ready for fire. They would not go close to fire. All of them. You understand? So with the change of our government now, look at the crime situation has went down. But I feel, from my point of view, our UNC Prime Minister or UNC party government is too light hand. I don't know the translation. Very soft. Has to be more stronger. And if in putting these people away, there's too much evidence that shows corruption, shows that our people of Trinidad and Tobago was neglected of their rights and resources. It's clear, right?
Yeah.
You have to have our hospitals first class treatment, first class in everything, right? I'm not saying to give everybody everything free. No, make it more easier, not only for one group of people to have benefit or privilege only, right? Now with our newer government, will say we shall have peace, wish to have peace and prosperity. Now, if you look at the income that is in Trinidad right now, and the past days that you have saw our Prime Minister and how you say Vice Prime Minister, who's next to be Prime Minister, just in case our Prime Minister get out of the country. How you call it, Vice Prime Minister?
Attorney General.
Okay, if you look at the income that is coming in Trinidad and Tobago, trillions or billions, right? Look, our Prime Minister have announced projects of infrastructure that she's saying technically she's saying that Trinidad and Tobago can be a next Dubai or better Dubai without corruption. Look at it. Look at the designs of those buildings. I don't know if one of you guys have been to Dubai, and you look at the beauty of that there, because they use the natural resources for infrastructure and to the benefit of the people, right? Check up on that. Now check up and you see the amount of money has been paid to maintain Mount Hope, and it's not good. We have enough for everyone to have a paradise in Trinidad. But no, the PNM has to drain out and take out of the country, right?
Yes, Parum, that's part of the problem, you know. But the core of these things really lie with the personnel at the top, and the ones who are not held accountable. You see? So
Look at the amount. 172 lights was not working in the parking lot, right? There
correct.
was a shortage of beds, trolleys, and we have seen the neglect of our people. My main concern here now is the level of negligence that our people face for the last 10 years in healthcare, right? Seeing the level of money wasted and not accounted here for, and we cannot let this go. I mean, with the kind of money spent, we can't let it go so easily. And to see the number of people mistreated. Look, I have a situation. I'm going to pull this up now. This lady, let me go back to it here. This is the most recent case in the hospital. I know you guys saw this when I posted
Yes.
the article, right? Look, and the level of things done to her and the negligence. Now, we are still fixing things, right? And I mean, it is totally unacceptable to see the level of treatment for this lady and many other people in the country. I mean, we can't let it go like that. With money spent, I mean, the lack of equipment, People, I mean, you could MRI equipment missing, no beds. People sitting 3 days in the emergency room on a wheelchair if they have their own wheelchair, or you sit on a bench.
You see, Gary, what is going on is
People
was
have to be
happening.
held accountable.
Yes,
We
yes.
can't let this go.
Well, you see, what happened is that was happening here in Venezuela. You know, there was a lot of money getting into health system. They announced the ex-governor here. I'm not afraid of her, and I'm not afraid of anyone here. The ex-governor here, she used to make a budget, how much bed she spent and how much medication she spent to the hospital and this and that. And when you go to the hospital, there's nothing. But she give budget that she make millions. She spend millions in infrastructure. When you go, there's nothing. What happened? She get out of power, she goes to jail, right? She get her pay the consequence. So this is what the PNM is also doing, spending a lot of money, accounting for the money legally by paper, but in physical there is
But
not
no contract,
no contract.
and no tender. It wasn't tendered out at all. And then
There's
money
contract by paper.
allocated.
There's contract by paper, yes, but physically no contract. You see? You understand what I'm saying? I don't know if I'm explaining myself correctly. Huh? They take to make legal the expense, to make the expense legal. They have to show where they are taking it out, but in paper. That happens here. That even happens in the petroleum company here as well. They say they do contract on maintenance contract, and when you see the 6 months, 8 months, 9 months, 2 years, no maintenance, but they have charged and placed in contracts, paper contract, that they have executed all these activities. It's the same that happened here. It's the same that is going on with the PNM. You understand? So these
Yes.
people have to give account. Money is missing. I don't care if you have 8 years, retire, and you cannot walk. You're on wheelchair. You go to jail. The problem is now we have to have a proper penitence system, a prison system that is very good for these people. That is severe punishment, hard labor, right? I remember when I was a child, when you pass the prison place there, you see there's a lot of garden and stuff like that. How you say lechuga, garden, lettuce, and those things. Now you only see mountains, right? So they have commodity in jail. You put strong punishment in jail, or not punishment. How you say this? Oh man, you see, I have some days no English, and my chip is strong consequences or hard labor on these fellas, and they will start to straighten out themselves, right? So law does not rest. We are not, how you say, Jesus Christ or Shiva or whatever to forgive. We are humans. You commit a crime, you have to pay. That's simple as that. But there are things that are bent to facilitate this criminal activity, and that has to be stopped immediately. Iron fist has to be placed. Look at Singapore. Singapore was the most poorest country in the world. Now today, iron fist has get involved. A straight person has get involved, and he clean it up. Now Singapore is one of the most richest and advanced in technology. Trinidad has the potential to do it, has the people to do it, has the people, right? And has there are local people who has a lot of potentiality. It's correct what I say? Potentiality. Huh? To do this work, we don't have to depend on foreign people. Invest in our people in education and health.
Yes, that is correct, Parum.
Yeah,
If you see the headline here, Gary, what is Kwandamanye at NCRHA? And the bottom says 100 million saved over 2 months, says Gopi Singh.
Mm.
So
Oh man.
I read the article. Most of that money what is being spent was, I should say, a lot. It was for security. There were
Mm.
2 or 3 security companies. So imagine if you don't have the lights in the parking lot on.
Five security company. He saved 22 million,
Yeah.
and there
But
was no
Gary,
contract, no tender.
no tenders and no contracts.
Yeah.
So
So
it's
that is
friends and
illegal.
family.
And we
Who
see
are the friends?
overtime for employees that was being spent there to build a garden, right? I mean, it like just how we said, condomania and mismanagement is exactly what took place. Lack of care for patients in the hospital. I had too many complaints about Mount Hope Hospital over the years. Too many complaints. Far too many complaints.
But you know, in any organization, before you cut a check, you look and see the contract, you look and see some kind of certification that the work was done. So those are such simple things. You look, we ended, I mean, 2025 and we're not following basic controls. So
Contractual law is
so then we have to ask, on what basis did the permanent secretary or whoever is responsible signed off that check?
Okay. Signature generation.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
you're right.
Well,
These are the
also,
checks and
yeah,
balances, but nobody checks. So there's no balance.
exactly.
And
No
that is the
accountability
point.
or transparency.
That's right.
No,
Nobody
well,
checks.
right. So that's why you have an internal audit, and perhaps
Yes,
the audit process needs to be audited by an external on
but
and off, so that we ensure that the systems are in place.
they
But
do
I
have
would
that.
ask,
They do have that. They have an internal audit, which is from the ministry or the whichever statutory body. That's from
right,
inside, and the ones that comes from outside, the external audit.
right.
Now, in
So,
our system, we have 3 systems. We have an internal audit, which is internal to the ministry. We
mm-hmm,
have the Auditor General, which is external.
yes,
And then you
yes.
have the regular external like Deloitte and all these people. So we have 3 systems in place to check, but nobody checks. I should say, no, I should not say that. The Auditor General checks. What happens to the report? Has it been laid? Okay, if it has been laid, they can't find 3 billion out of it. And has anybody been persecuted? And this is the problem. This is the problem. 3 billion unaccounted for. Now, some of these things are paper things, right? Misplaced paper and the invoices, documentation, one, what have you. But 3 billion plus, it's not a little bit of money, man.
One company
No,
got 237 million for over 10 years for reagents, right? Those chemical compounds supplying for the labs and stuff like
mm,
that. But according to money spent and service deliveries is like from the moon
mm,
I don't know, some other planet. No accountability.
And this is the problem now. That is what I say. All these PSs should be jailed. All the assistant PSs should be jailed. And all the assistant to the assistant should be jailed. All the administrative officers, 5, administrative officers, 4, AO 2. All these people are part of the process. Because you want to send up something for payment, it has to be approved first by the accounting assistant, the accountant, the accounting executive, and it goes up the ladder right through till it reaches
mhm,
the
mhm,
PS, and like that. So when this system, this chain is corrupt, or when this chain favors a political party, what happens? All rules fall down. That is why I
mhm,
keep on insisting that the system is broken, but deliberately broken to facilitate
Broken
this
is a good word, man. Rotten and corrupt.
rotten and corrupt. You're right. So you see, from the beginning, I've been saying that if for UNC to get anything done, and mind you, most of these ministers now are new to the game. They have no idea. The PS will come and smile with you and say, all these senior officers, yes, yes, yes. But that doesn't mean they like you. And you now thinking that, oh, yes, I have a good PS, I have a good senior office, admin AO5 and so on. They're nice. Technical advice is nice, very good. But they looking to bust your throat at the short, anytime. They're looking to bust your throat. And these new and young ministers who are there have never been in this position before. Now, check what the responsibilities are. You got to drive the ministry. You as a minister have to drive the ministry. When are you going to get time to appoint teams now to look back and see and go back 3 and 4 and 8 years back and see what is or who has done wrong? You just don't have the time. See that you have to do your constituencies, you have to go to parliament, you have to run your ministry, and then you have to make sure your projects, some of your projects, it has to be completed within a time frame. So you are basically on the go all the time. So nobody finds the time now to go back and investigate these things. And this is where the problem is. It should not have happened in the first place, right? But it happened. Okay, look at the same thing called that. If you read in the last incarnation of the UNC, the People's Partnership, called has everybody say, we're going to nail hit this guy. There was so much evidence to show that monies and so on were siphoned or stolen and bubble and what have you. But the guy living next to me in Fort Lauderdale with a big apartment building, 360 million part of the CL Financial Complex. He's there living at that high. How come? And this is the problem. This corruption is embedded. And all we do is that we say we're going to do something, nothing is done. Nothing is done. And what happens, what happens in the long run? Well, people like me and you and all of us will say it's a waste of time to go and vote. Because we see this thing happen over and over and over again. Nobody's been prosecuted. Nobody's held accountable. And life goes on. So I
know it's not our intention to interfere in the police service, but we have to interfere to a certain point. Where the police commissioner, we have seen something recently there, that caused for more concern today in that article. But anyway, the police service has to be held accountable for their actions, for their failure to take action, and to be cockeyed or cocky-eyed, as we say. All right.
We see what they did today, Gary.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm referring to. Yeah.
Central Division, and the head office came down on them and took them to the bond in El Socorro to search the barrel which had the guns.
Well, they got a lead. They was following the lead, and they were intercepted by Special Branch.
Yes, Special Branch investigating the same cops.
Well, listen to me. I had a lot of people here tell me about Special Branch retired officers. Okay, so I mean, I had a lot of things said to me that I wasn't looking for a conversation. I didn't raise nothing.
You say gone and come back fast. Listen, that's what happened there in that warehouse. Now, the article said they went and searched for these weapons without a warrant. Now, there's a benefit
because of the state of emergency, you are allowed to do that.
Yes,
Okay.
state of emergency. Now, we have to be careful on the source that you get now, right? Now, if you go there, they go there and they did not find anything. There's how you say, a sewer on the state or the police. Now, these sources have to be executed. You catch them red-handed, immediately judgment on them and investigate
Yeah, but
where it comes from.
Dr.
The
Barrow,
company.
the police who got in doing the investigation was interrupted by the higher level, the special branch
Yes,
officers, and we need an
right.
explanation on that.
Right, because their complicity in that, this is where
Mhm.
this is where the complicity and the crime situation is elevated, right? Bandits in suit, you see. So when you investigate that, where did that come from? Custom. It did not come from Venezuela. That didn't come from Venezuela, right? Customs. It shows that they are corrupted. They are corrupted. So everybody here had to be turned in custom. I don't care if if you know something is happening and you do not make the report, you are complice of that action. That is law here. Or I think it's law everywhere, but here is
Well,
law.
listen, the illegal stuff coming into Trinidad coming in from more than 100 ways than one.
Yes,
Okay,
truly.
Venezuela is not the only place, even though it's an easy access. A lot
Yes,
is coming to Venezuela, but it ain't coming through the port. It coming through them little pirogue that come across in within minutes,
yes,
right?
yes. 7 miles, 7 miles,
Okay,
7 miles.
so I mean, in a blink of an eye, and knowing that the fact that the level of patrolling we had for the number of years, all right, but there's stuff been coming on the port that is being aided. They're being aided by people who are involved in securing the country. They're getting
Yes,
aided by people on the port. They're being aided by customs people. So we have to fix the management of all these things. Police, customs, coast guard. We have a lot to fix.
yes, yes. That is true. So you see, these officials, you catch someone doing something and you put that person in prison and then you receive a phone call, hey, let him go because this is an order that has to be stopped. That is what is going on after
What has been going on? It has
that
been going on.
is going on in and it still is going on because you see the UNC government has this honest officer, but yes, the official officer, the high ranking officer who is PNM or who is a bandit, whether PNM or UNC or he's a bandit, he has to be punished. Simple as that. A crime is committed, no phone call is to be received because every police officer has to be autonomous in Spanish. How we say
Independent.
independent. Oh man, you speak Spanish, man. Independent in his prosecution and
Yeah.
advice correctly, right? I see a man stealing a car, we get with drugs. I cannot have to receive orders to let him go. Where will these drugs come from? Where these guns come from, right? And well, if he say to me, he has to go out. He has to go be free by your order. Then I make investigation to you. No, so there are a lot of things. For example, the Prime Minister of Health, when he was acting Prime Minister, I saw that myself. Reporter says, where these billions of dollars, TT dollars, went away. Anybody has anything to say? In a big audience there with reporters. No, man, nobody speak. Why? If they speak, they go to jail. The PNM will put them in jail for questioning them. You understand? So there was fear.
We had no
That,
recourse. We had no
no,
recourse.
no,
The
no
justice system
recourse.
ruled by the PNM, right?
Yes.
The police force ruled by the PNM. The
Mhm.
army, the coast guard. They might have one or two people there, but that's how it's controlled.
Yeah, that's all. So now there's freedom, and anybody can make their report, but willfully and truthfully report. Right. So these PNM fellas who are
Yes.
complicity
I still maintain.
who are still in position, is tactical or special position, has to be removed immediately. If not, you will always receive sabotage.
We saw another couple get killed in their house recently, right? In the southern area again. Okay, I'm just kind of concerned how much patrol is really being done. We under state of emergency. How many officers are really patrolling? Why are they making cook under somebody's house?
Well, you see, uh, m- criminals has they are hunters. Look at it this way.
Yeah, but
They
what I'm
hunt.
saying to you, how much patrolling are we really doing at this point? With
You
all
have
the
to have
privilege that granted under the state of emergency, how many
right.
resources we have there patrolling?
They have to increase their patrols and in vehicles and in system and respond. A respond. If you look at the states or look at the other countries, they respond in 3 to 5 minutes, 10 minutes mostly. Ambulance 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 10 minutes mostly, right? And that you do not have that here. Why the Prime Minister of Health is trying to implement that, and he will always have persons sabotaging that system. One of the I always say, when you arm a law-abiding citizen, train that citizen on how to manipulate his firearm, have his license, have his psychological checkings up, and his mental health in proper order, they will reduce more. The criminal activity will reduce because why? The criminals say, "Hey, I will be going down." Change that law that is not defending criminals, right? And you get into my home, you get into my home and then you go down, man. You go down. In the States, it's the same way. Self defense, that's all. A criminal will think 10, 20 times to come after you. You understand? As our Prime Minister said, empty the pain on them completely. I agree
Yeah,
with her.
exactly.
Because
Exactly.
if
Yes.
that was implemented on time, because that couple who have studied a lot, work very hard, have everything that they work for so hard, has to go die in that situation. No, that cannot happen. That must not happen.
I think the
Totally agree.
existing law in Trinidad is a joke comment to that, because they say the level of force you have to use must be appropriate
Mhm.
in the situation. Somebody's coming up, pointed a gun with you in your living room and trying to bust your tail up, but you have to make sure that that threat, you cannot use force to
Excessive
the
force.
extent, excessive force to the extent that you can kill the guy.
Yeah.
Well,
That's wrong.
that is brainwashing you that you cannot protect yourself. That is a brainwashing
So they're
um,
telling you
system,
you have
because
to
look,
use.
I've been in a situation once when my car was when Venezuela was a very violent country in 2008, with the opposition leaders call upon his members to be violent in the road. Well, I was going to one state to the next, and these fellas, almost 15 of them, blocked the road, but it was not a blockage that you can see. You see, and I opened fire on all of them, man. They didn't expect me to have that firepower, right? And what happened? I went out. They did not. They didn't. Most of them did not stand up again. You understand? So I cannot be in my. I cannot. You telling me by law I cannot by law. This is what you tell me. By law that I cannot protect myself in my home. Here now, when you are in a situation, I don't know if any of you have experienced this, no? But when you are in a situation, you cannot think. What are you have? You have your your firearm in your hand, and you are. I'm not going to wait and see if you have a cutlass or a knife. You just get it. I take you down. I always say, or there's a saying is, in a combat, who stands up after the combat wins. If you do not stand up, you lose. And then after, we talk. Right?
All right.
I hope I don't have to talk to you anymore when I finish with you, because you are in my house. The feeling of hurt that you can carry after a while, after it is hurting to know that you are a law-abiding citizen, and the law that bad or nasty law that there is take advantage of law-abiding citizens. That has to change.
Correct. Correct.
That has to change.
But Suman, the whole idea of proportionate. So you want to sit down and think about it. You're
That's the
in a
point.
critical situation.
No.
You're in a
I don't
critical
sit down.
situation. You're not going to
Okay.
call your family and discuss what is proportionate.
No,
You don't know
but-
what the guy has. He might have a cutlass.
correct.
He might have a gun. He might have all sorts of things. So
Yes.
you have to defend yourself the best way you could and your family. That proportionate law, I think, is a very silly thing to impose.
Silly.
Because we can't take it lightly, because the defense now and the state will use that same law and go against you in court. So I think that has to change.
That's
has
what
to
the prime
change.
minister. The prime minister said that they was going to work on these. These are some of the laws that was going to be adjusted. I mean,
So-
you are within your right to defend yourself, and the law should not only relate to whether in your house. If you are attacked on the street,
Yes, self-defense.
you have the right to defend yourself. Now, what I'm asking for and what I'm suggesting is that we have to take some kind of a training
Yes,
so that we
definitely.
handle the weapon appropriately and don't hit unintended target. So you have to take some training on how to use your weapon, use it timely, use it directly, be able to hit that person without hitting another person. Don't fire the gun if that person is too far away, because then you run the risk of hitting somebody, and you're not hitting that person. So you want to be able to practice on that, and then the things that has to be worked on before we even get to that stage is that we definitely need to get the patrolling done, where we are working harder on preventative strategy. We must be able to send a message to these criminals that do not want to come to our community and do what you're doing, because we are watching and we are ready for you.
Mhm. You see, when you have your firearm on you, right? Some of us are very stupid. You have a firearm, you want to show that you are armed, that you're big, you have a gun. That has to be punishable as well, right? So a firearm is something that you have to keep with you all time. You go out of your house, you have to keep it with you in clothes. I think the correct word is that. No, have your proper training. Yes, you have to have your
Conceal. It's called concealed carry.
conceal,
Conceal.
right? Here, everyone now who is law-abiding has their firearm, and you don't have limits on ammunitions, right? So you are obligated to be on the firearms practice, right? Firearms practice to practice with your firearms and keep your safety equipment with you. Right? Safety of your firearms. It is necessary. It is necessary. There is a certification that we do here as well to see that if you are, qualified in the
On the range. At the
on the
range.
range, qualified
Even
psychologically.
police and military officers have to do it all the time anyway.
Yes, qualified to do this type of work. Now, when you get involved in combat direct, fellas, you some things just switch on you automatically with the training, with the proper training that you receive. Something just switch on. That adrenaline comes and you start to think faster. Now, I would not some antisocial, I would not say that word antisocial comes, I take him down. I have to do it. It's an obligation, right? Then I speak. But I must not have the fear that, oh, I will go 10 years jail, oh, I will lose my family. Oh, so you're telling me I'm dead? That cannot happen. We cannot have precaution in not causing precaution on fear of defending ourselves. Okay, you give me a firearm and you're going to put fear in me? that I cannot use it adequately in my home to protect myself or my family? Look at the corrupt this past government have done, right? So what they did as well is to make you look at it at this. They obligate you to have a security company there. And who is the owners of the security company? Who's the owners? Them themselves. You understand? Check it up and you will see, Gary. Check it up and you will see. Who's the owners of the big companies? Who's the owners and who has access to arms and ammunition legally but not legally? Look up and see. What type of fellas they have trained with them? What type of fellas they have who was in jail, who are the expedient criminal activities, who have stolen X or Y? You will see it. So our Prime Minister is doing something. What she is doing, look at it. The Quran says as well, eye for eye, teeth for teeth. The Bhagavad Gita as well mentioned something. And the Bible as well, look at the book of Exodus, authorize you to defend yourself. It says you shall not kill. You know, Exodus 20. And look at Exodus 22. And you will see if a man who's been damaged, and he dies, who has damaged him will not be punished if it's self-defense. So our Prime Minister as well is looking for the way to implement this law.
The law and the
constitutionally.
scriptures is how people interpret it conveniently to spin it
See,
in the
yes.
way that they want to get their agenda. But a
Yes,
man
but-
has a right to defend himself within his house, within his property.
Yes,
You know, I mean, if you're on the street, you have a right to defend yourself.
Yes, but look at what our Prime Minister is doing. She's trying to make that law constitutional, self-defense, a constitutional law, not a law that is no constitutional. I don't know if you all are understanding me by constitutional law and a no constitutional law, right? That has to be approved by the constitution of the country, that this law of self-defense that cannot be changed. Remember, a constitutional law abolish a no constitutional law. You understand what I'm saying? Right?
Well, the law was maintained in a certain way to protect certain people, you know,
But
because
this is
they
why
know
she's asking for
they
approval.
pretty well know who was doing certain things, right? They pretty well know, and they suffered people and raped the wealth for themselves and forced certain people to do wrong things who maybe not even intended to, but they were forced into a life of that because you suffered them so much that they had no choice, and it
Yeah.
came down to survival. So you forced citizens who would have never been a criminal into criminal activity. You didn't put things in
Yes,
place.
yes.
Now we have
Yes.
rich people in suits and ties who are stealing more than the people on the street. Okay. So I mean, how do you justify that? So you know, the justice system has to be dealt with. Police and our security system has to be dealt with in the level how it's managed and supervised. Because I mean, all the training that the U.S. giving there right now, and the minute the U.S. turn their back, everything goes back to the same old with these people.
You see, one thing is implementing a project, executing the project, and maintaining the project. When we have a project, it has to be structured, being structured, and then after comes the maintenance.
It's a life and it's a matter of life and death. You can't take
Life
it
and death.
lightly. It is not something can be taken lightly because people are losing their lives by your lackadaisical, careless performance. So we
Yes.
can't have that. It has to be fixed. We change government because we want to fix.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Let's hear you, Vade. Come on.
No, I'm listening. I think let's see if that law is changed. And those who apply for their gun license and so on, that they are well trained and qualified. And I think that will go a long way in at least look the exposed segment is really the businessman. and the businesswomen, the business persons, you know. So I think we need to have some change, but that is just one element of the overall change. One element of the overall change, and we have to think long term. Long term meaning to say we have to start at the school level, and look forward to other changes within 5 and 10 years within the school system itself. And I think we cannot underestimate the. I think that was such a brilliant move. Is that if any child violent in school, they be dealt with
Mm-hmm.
probably as an adult rather than just being
and put in a special system going forward. You can't keep them there. You know.
exactly
But
exactly. So
but
that
it
will
all boils down to environment where that child is just replaying what he has been experienced too. Because if you see some of them communities, that's how the people conduct themselves.
well, what has been happening before, if a child is violent to anyone, another child, the violent child's parents come in and they bully they bully through the process, and nothing is being done. So now it's very different. So we won't have the parents interjecting in a process that's already approved by the ministry and the government, and the police is there to take it from there. That will act as a example to the other students who are potentially so. So I think that's a good start, but we need a lot more training. And there was an incident in Sweden, this immigrant from Africa, he joined a school, and there was a problem among two students, and he lashed out. He lashed out, and he injured the other student, and the teacher and the school principal and so on was trying to understand why. Now the difference was that in his country, that is how they dealt with any problems, interpersonal problems. That's how they dealt with it. However, in Sweden, they teach the children that to discuss it and discuss the issues and deal with it at that level rather than resorting to violence. So in school as well, I think we need to look at it and how do we learn to manage conflict, and none of that is being taught in school. None of it is being taught in school, and I think that is extremely important. How do you deal with conflict? You have different opinions on things or whatever. How do you deal with it? And I think that should be part of the curriculum as the children grow older. How do you deal with it?
You
You
see,
know,
when that
I
happens,
strongly believe in dealing with an issue straight up, in the sense that when it initial happens, you don't let it go, because if you let
Mhm.
something go, then it starts to develop into other things. So I like to nip it in the bud right away, and if you start addressing the students, then it wouldn't go any further. But when you leave things alone and it has it's just like a cancer in the body.
No, you're,
It
you're
starts to
no, no,
to magnify.
you're correct. It simmers and then it blows up. It
Right.
simmers and then it blows up. So
Mhm.
you deal with it right away. I fully agree, and that is where, in terms of conflict resolution, that is where there's no harm in discussing that with children, because violence is is in school today. At the current or in our society, violence in school is very prevalent.
modern
And
father as well should be prosecuted of that, because modern father has majority of them has knowledge of their child being a bully, and they continue and they promote that, right?
But
So it's not like long time where your time and my time we used to straighten out things with our hands, right? It was me and five of them with a coconut,
yeah,
right? It's not that. Now we are more advanced. Now they know how to use guns and these things like
yeah.
that. It goes out of hand. So this is where modern father has to be counseled when it first, as Mr. Gary said, you detect it, deal with it right away. If not, continue first time, second time, third time. No, a modern father gets prosecuted as well, or counseling, dependence on what is there. Anyhow you take it, bullying is something will always be existing, is existing, and when you make sure that the law is there, bullying is severely punished. Is severely punished, it will stop. Whoever it is, bullying
And
should be
Gary,
stopped.
yeah, Gary, just to add to that, I posted a video. I sent a video to you with capturing some of his school violence. I believe this was at Tranquility Secondary School somewhere in Port of Spain
Mhm,
there,
mhm.
Mhm.
where a student is fighting with a security guard,
Oh
Oh,
my.
no respect.
um, yeah, and the kids are cheering on and stuff like this. So
Huh.
that culture has to change, a culture of violence. You know, yes, I know that there's some who unfortunately say growing up in an environment with a lot of violence, right? But we have to have a structure in place so that when you enter that institution, a school or wherever it is, you have to conduct yourself by the
Yes.
rules. There are rules, and we have to enforce it. You know, so yeah, we have a lot of work to do, right? And I hope that this violence that we're seeing in school doesn't get out of hand, because the same way they're fighting with a piece of wood or a knife or whatever, they could bring a gun, right? Now a gun is almost you could get a gun almost at any street corner,
And
Mhm.
and they could bring
these
it to the
children were
school.
known to have guns because they were able to threaten teachers in the school,
Correct,
and that is
correct.
why I pushed for the issue very hard. Was to get the police in the school. Police cannot be coming.
Well,
So we need police and the security to work with the security system. You know, the resource officer together with the police. The police will need training, so there's a lot of training. I think we on the initial stages. It's a learning period, but we have to look at what the U.S. Has done, in particular also, in other countries, in how we we build our structure in addressing the issues. But you need the security system in place. You need the camera
yeah, yeah,
system in place. We need to intercept things, and as it begins to happen, so that our response can be swift. And when we demonstrate that, whether it's in the school, on the streets, in our neighborhood, the message will send clear. This is how we cope the thing. But if our response is slothful, then it's going to be a continuous things. You
yeah.
know, understand? But when you start to nip it in the butt right away, these children get the message that the zero tolerance is either they behave themselves or they face the consequences.
Mhm.
Absolutely, absolutely. But one thing to add to that, Gary, in terms of the security services, I think I'd like to suggest that we also introduce metal detectors for some of these schools, some of the high-risk schools, right? Um, so this way, anyone who will come into school with a knife or a gun or large metal object, they could pick it up at the entrance points and address it. So I think it's also important that we introduce metal detectors for some schools.
And when you get catch, you get prosecuted as well. That's
Correct. We
all.
call the police. What are you doing with a gun here? That is illegal. You don't have a permit for that. We call the police and let them deal with it.
You get
Right?
prosecuted right away, and that stays on your record, so you cannot get out or get any military service or anything like that, or police service. That will damage your reputation. Your reputation, you cannot do it. That is one of the next ways that you can implement discipline in a way. So you will say, oh, he 14 years, 12 years old, he has a gun or he's violent. That goes on his record, and it will always be a stain for him or her.
But we can't lose sight, we can't lose
No, no,
sight
you cannot lose sight.
of certain things, of community situations. For example, poverty levels are increasing around the world. That's a
Yes.
fact. Around the world, even the European, there's no first world countries again. All we have here is countries that are falling into recession, and what we have rich people and poor people. Those are the segregation. So there's no real country that you have poverty level very low. And in Trinidad, in good times, poverty level was about 20%. We don't know what it is now. Now, children coming out from depressed communities, we do not know the kinds of pressure they are leaving at home. For example, their parents could have been fighting, etc., etc., right? We don't know if they are bringing to school lunches. We don't know if they have a good meal in the morning. So teachers and so on have to be also sensitized to what are the telltale signs to look for in a child that has come to school, not fully prepared, not fully satisfied, who may be from a difficult background. So teachers have to be sensitized to what are the telltale signs and how to handle those situations. Because if we leave it to simmer again, it blows up. It just blows up. Because remember, the child, most children, they don't want to be confrontational, but if things become suppressed, then it can blow up into violence. So I think there are many ways to look at this problem, and it's a difficult task. It's not an easy task. It's not easy.
Psychological therapy is needed for not only for the child who is violent, right? Both mother and father, or the parent, foster parent, or whoever is taking care of the child, right? Is needed as well. Because for me, there is no justification for you to be a violent person or a criminal.
No.
There is not, right?
Exactly.
We cannot make justification to justify the criminal activity. All there is needed is therapy. Even I do need therapy. Everybody needs therapy, right? Everybody needs therapy. Everybody has a point of aggressivity, to be aggressive in a way or other. But it all depends on your culture or ability to handle situations, right? All depends on your respect that you have or your discipline that you have. You understand? So one of the most important thing here is psychological effect. Remember, there is different type of treatment. Pharmacological treatment, mechanical treatment, which is therapy and these things like that, alimentation therapy, and psychological therapy. That is a treatment. So these children has, or a person that has this traumas and I don't think poorness or being a poor person or deficiency in money is going to make you a violent person. All depends on your level of consciousness, psychological growth, and discipline. Most of us has no discipline at all when confronting a person. For example, you see a senior officer, you say hello, good morning, but you are a senior officer, you abuse other people who are lower grade than you, right? So discipline is necessary, counseling is necessary. Man, being a teacher in primary school, secondary school, man, you have to have a real good mental, strength, because to deal with children, mostly teenagers, for me as a medical doctor, I say these fellas are stronger than me. Primary school, man, I cannot withstand this type of things that teachers go through. I cannot. Right? I congratulate all teachers in Trinidad and Tobago that the children has to know that they are your second mother and father and must be respected in all ways, right? I say hi to my old teachers, Baurnats in Sani Grande Hindu School. Hello, Sitaram, right? And I watch my teachers as parents. When I was feeling very bad at home, my father died. Teacher came and gave me a hug. Man, I felt so relief. Mike Bicky is his name. He gave me a hug. First time in my life, a person gave me a hug. You understand? So that I'm a man now. I always remember that hug. You understand? Most of us are, as well as teachers, we are the fault. We manipulate, we mistreat children as well. It's not the fault of the child only. Is how in medio ambiente, how you say environment, right?
Mhm.
That is going through a hard process. But I'm not justifying a violent attitude. Has to be dealt with. You see, we have to. This is where our mental health is necessary,
Mhm.
senores. I say senores because
Yes. True, the school violence is something that has been ingrown under the PNM more than any
yes,
other party.
Yeah.
You can see Dr. Dowla, the Minister of Education, published some data recently which showed about 7,000 students were at risk
Mhm.
for, in different things.
Mhm.
And he made sure that these students who do the wrongdoers are punished and they be sent to other institutions for remedial work and so on.
Mhm.
And so that was good. It has been brought down to 3,000 at this point in time. So
Mhm.
there's some headway being made on that in that regard. That in combination with the security policemen in the schools and so on, certainly put a dent to the level of
Mhm.
violence occurring. So, I mean, that's a
Mhm.
positive thing. The PNM, though the former Minister of Education was complaining against that. Against that, why should there be policemen in the school and what have you? So, again, it all depends on the party, which party you belong to. Because if the PNM decide that no, there is no need for security in the schools, and had that high level of incidents among students fighting and all this sort of thing. Just imagine it was 7,000 and now it's 3,000 in a matter of 6 months' time. So
yeah,
No,
that means
exactly.
very big
that
Exactly.
progress. Yeah?
the system is working as it is now. But
But
then again,
Sumant, after 10 years of mismanagement, they have earned their irrelevance. I don't think
right.
anybody, I don't think anybody takes them on.
I don't
Um,
think so.
I don't
Yeah.
think so. I think
But
when they look at her, they just try to guess what's the cost of her hairdo.
yeah,
So
yeah, correct.
I think they have lost their relevance, and they try to they try to make a dent again. But I think for the next few years, no one is going to take them on. Um, so it means to
Well,
say that the onus is on the present government to make sure that there are no
make sure.
errors.
Correct, correct.
Yes, the
And that's
thinking in
where
a correct way, yes, that it will happen. But when you have your people, your followers inside the system, there will be terrorism. There will be.
Um,
There will be sabotage, but that sabotage person who are sabotaging the system has to go out, has to be rejected and go out. That is very easy. You
you
understand?
know,
Anyhow you take it, there will be sabotage. But let's hope implementing security, implementing not a discipline in the reliable way or the correct way. Not is like to put a dictatorship on the children. You know what I mean. No, I
yeah.
watch you and no. More
It's
educated.
if you're in government and you continue to do good, right? At
Yes,
first, the opposition will ridicule
want to do
you,
better.
etc., etc.
Yeah.
But ultimately, they will come around. Most of them will come around, and I've been following the Indian politics very closely over the years. I mean, I have an interest in, and I don't know. There's so many Congress followers now are actually praising Modi. The most prominent of them is Tarur. So I don't, So if you keep doing good, ultimately things will turn around. Things will turn around. So I don't see that as a problem. Um, there will be sabotage. There will always be sabotage.
Mm-hmm.
But but you have to be strong to anticipate it and deal with it beforehand. Deal with
Yes.
it
And,
beforehand.
and we have a job that remains yet where we have to expose them. You know,
Exactly.
because the media in Trinidad is still
That
embedded with
that's
with that Cosa Nostra organization there, and we
Correct.
have to be able. We have a job here to do where we expose them for what they how they brought the country into, and then and show it clearly what we are taking the country into, and you see the drastic difference there. You know, and these are the things we have to stay at it. Is in but you know, I strongly believe that the children deserve to go to a safe environment and to be able to focus on their schoolwork and not have to face unnecessary mental stress because the schoolwork is enough. But we also have to we need to engage these children in physical sports so they can let
Oh,
out
yeah.
that blow that steam, you know, run around the tracks. I mean, I don't think there's enough being done where they need to get out and really burn that energy out, you know, and that frustration and engage that into physical sports. You know, that could be one of the solutions too, which is definitely you can't cage up the children, you know.
Yeah. But one of the main problems, I'll tell you. Say, for example, a civil servant working in Port of Spain, they have to get up 4 o'clock, wake up the children, and they have schools, the children attending school in Port of Spain, right? So, it's very difficult for the children those hours, but
mhm.
that's very prevalent where children are not placed in school near to their homes, and
Yeah,
that's a
that's something we have to address too. In you know,
yeah,
definitely we have something to address like that.
it's a
And
big problem.
the system is very slothful in handling it at this point. You know, and you have to know somebody. It's a very current system, so we have to deal with it. Parents are having. In fact, I'm dealing with one situation there right now where
Uh-huh.
a parent is having a very hard time getting the transfer.
Yeah, so I think that has to be rationalized. But look at the other side of the coin. A civil servant, they're leaving work 3 o'clock to go and pick up the children. So you're losing a lot of hours there as well, and that is very very prevalent. Where civil servants, they leave their job early to go and pick up the children, and that has become the norm. So that has to be looked at very carefully. How do you rationalize the movement of children from their home to the schools? And hopefully the minister will address it in time. I know he has his hands full with so many things, and I think a lot is being done within the short 6 months or 7 months, right? But I think ultimately all these things can be brought to the fore, discuss, and see the best solutions for it. Because too many children are spending too many hours in the cars, morning and evening. So it comes back to the point: where do they find time for a little physical activities? Where do they find time?
But
Sleeping
the
long.
physical
The
activities has been
transportation system is something we need to work for onto you know Suman and Ken like how we got
Definitely.
here in the U.S. where you got the school
Yeah.
system that is
Buses.
transporting the children, and we
Yeah,
definitely have to pay attention of where the children is being placed.
Yeah.
You know
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
has to be
Yeah. That,
but
that
handled.
that's
it's
that's
been
that's a big
zoned,
plus.
Gary. The system has been zoned based on your street address. You can only go to that school or this particular school once you are, resident of that community. So
But
if I'm a
Sumant,
resident of uh,
Sumant, isn't that the system in America?
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's in the US, it's just like that. Let's say I'm living in North Miami Beach. I have to send my kid to the North Miami Beach High School. I cannot send him
Right.
to downtown Miami to Nautilus School or any one of these secondary schools there. Or in
Mhm.
Fort Lauderdale. I had to send him to the one in my residential zip code and so on.
Right.
So,
You see, sport is something that is been proven that psychologically helps and increase your IQ in your body, right? Sport is very, very important for children. So you put a child in activity, let's say football, basketball, whatever, karate as well as karate. You say karate, martial arts, right? In these
mhm.
clubs in the evening, time, it helps the brain activity improve and reduces stress very significantly, right? I have some neighbors, they have some very lovely daughters. When they were very small, they were introduced into martial arts, no? When they are introducing martial arts, these children compare with other children, has the IQ, intelligence, and very high, more disciplined, has graduated, and even has this to be professional, more be how you say, they are more propense to be more professional in or very high study, the ability to study high because they have discipline, right? Now, if you see the school system, it is designed by the PNM to make you, when they take over the laptop project, they did not want these children to get into technology, right? Spitefulness. So you look at it politically and you look at it, how you say, socially, what is the impact that is there? Now, you get them. Now today is not like you and me when we was in, we had to go to the library, get a book. No, now it's today they get access direct with their phone. So their training has to be different from us. Their discipline has to be different from us. When I say discipline, I not mean punishment, the formation, right? It has to be completely different from us. So this is where they need more psychological help, assessment, or I don't know how more accessory assessment. Yes, both parents and children. You understand? What has happened is the past government has not invested enough, or they did not do any investment. They only put our infrastructure go there, and they did not give more investment in the citizens, these young citizens, these young leaders, right? And next thing is the system is there. When you look at it, oh, when I graduate, what will I study? What will I become? The majority of them say, oh, well, I go work in an office now. I go work in a store now. That is the mentality that they implemented, showing the child that he has no future. You understand what I'm saying? Right? Now, if you show these children that they have bright future, he's an excellent person. Don't point finger at him all the time. You will see he will grow. Trinidad and Tobago will grow with better citizens. Trinidad has their citizens to be better than Dubai, better than the United States.
Yeah, but socially, as you said, socially, in previous incarnation, there are certain class of people that had to be kept only at a certain level of intelligence because they were the voting bank of the ruling party. They were not educated enough, or I should say, the PNM government did not educate their followers enough for them to think on their own. They just wanted to create a voting bank, a dependency, communities that depend on the government a lot. That doesn't matter what job you had.
Yeah,
You had that dependency.
Your education to the slave master is a threat. So why would they want you to educate? They want to keep you in the bag.
Yes,
so it was a vote bank. Socially, that's what I'm saying. It was a vote bank for them. So it was, but in their interest to keep you only at a certain level, not to excel and be someone in society of a high ranking and so on. No. Just be enough to vote for us. But that was it.
That's a type of slavery, if you look at it. That's a type of modern slavery.
It is modern slavery. First, I mean, you're stunting the intelligence of young kids. You say, you can only get a certain level of education, and that is enough for me to to give to you so that you will always be dependent on me. So you'll
Depend on
always
our
vote.
salary.
Yeah, you vote for me. That's what it is.
You see,
Yeah.
if we have this mentality, I always say to my medical students, I want you to be better than me, right? Yeah,
True.
how is it, professor? How is it? So you want me to be better? I don't know what day I will be falling in your hands. I always say that to them, you know. And you say, "Oh, professor, why do you say that?" I say, "I don't know, but to be better than me, you have to study more harder than me." You understand? So you give them privilege to study, you give them access to education, you give them access to technology. And the PNM government has denied this technology to these children. I'm not defending criminal activity, but I'm saying what has happened and what is causing the major problems in the society of Trinidad and Tobago today. They was denied of their how you say, oh man, I don't know the word.
Basic needs and basic needs. Basically, you see that you just keep them restrained. But hopefully the people gets to understand what we are doing, and they are reminded of what was done previously between the 2010 to 2015 period, how the level of service delivery that was provided, the resources that the Prime Minister put in place so you could advance
Mhm.
yourself. I hope that they are able to grasp that concept by the end of this 5 years, because I mean, a lot of the young people that came out and vote in this 2025 election is young people that Mrs. Bisesa helped as prime minister when they were young kids, you know, and they came out with a vengeance.
Yeah, they want to have the change and to improve themselves. Now with the system education system that will be implemented 100% access to, if you do not study or do not improve yourself, it's your fault, not political fault. Now and today, you understand what the present projects are. Now, here in Venezuela, everybody has the chance to study in university. Before, the university was private and allowed to certain people, to the rich and the influence politically. That was stopped here. Now, anyone can be study to be doctor, lawyer, engineer, whatever. You don't know who is doctor, who is lawyer, who whatever, right? They have that fear to study. When I studied here, I used to spend money only to take the bus. Right. Then after the government came and eliminate that, all students have a special card. They show it to the bus and they go and they put transport. Right. So you have to have not only the government provide something for you, you have to have the ability or the laganas de estudiar and the will to study as well, because I cannot put as teacher or government in your head all the knowledge. No, you have to stay up at night, study, read your books, everything. That's the next process. You understand? Because they
But
have
we must provide a safe school
provide.
environment
Yes, sir.
where
I agree.
you don't condemn children, you encourage, direct them, support them, because when you condemn people, you kind of mentally, psychologically shut them down.
Yes.
Oh, I don't expect you to be nothing, and this kind of thing, and then you create more hostility there. And you don't know the damage because there's some teachers who are just so damn ignorant and and arrogant. But we can restructure things if we work collectively. You restrain the criminal behavior by putting things in place that they cannot proceed with it, and you intercept it. But at the same time, you deal with all the psychological issues and all the other needs, social needs that will need to be put in place simultaneously, and you treat with that. But backtracking to the healthcare system, I mean, Dr. Gobi Singh is making some drastic headway with that, and We are looking forward to the improvement. I expect greater things going within a year. We should see greater improvement.
And Gary, we had a guest on the last show, and she mentioned a horror story during the last government, um,
Yeah, it was coming
where
up to the end of
yeah,
the where the election took place there. Yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
However, she did mention that he's starting to see some positive change, and I think you asked the question. You know, so yeah, so I think there's some optimism moving forward here, but we have a lot of work to do. From crime to the level of service across the board,
Oh,
right?
there's tremendous a lot. Go ahead.
From traffic congestion. I've always spoken about that LOS, level of service, for some of these roads. Is it a F or is it an A, right? And if it's an F, then we have to recognize that and then allocate the funds to now try to move that to a C or a B, right? If we're building hospitals and spending billions of dollars, what about the level of service? Is it the same 10, 20 years ago, right? So we have to improve, continuously improve and measure the performance and the progress, right? And if we're not getting it, then we have to go back to the drawing board and revise our SOPs, the way we approach it, and the plans and so forth. But we can't be spending money and not going anywhere, right?
Mhm.
We need to see results and we need to measure those results.
Well, I think this is where at the time of the budget, those are the things could be established, and hopefully, during the mid-year review, I think the ministers could account for what they established compared to the budget, and I think that is what has been missing in Trinidad for years. Nobody looks back and say what was my budget last year and how I performed this year, and that's a basic on the private sector. If you, as an individual, CFO or CEO coming to the board to present a budget, you must present to the board what you projected last year, plan to do, and what you achieved, and that is missing in the national budget. Nobody does it, and I think this is hopefully. I've been writing about this for some time, so hopefully next budget around, um, the government can actually say, look, this is what we had budgeted and this is what we have achieved. And if you achieve 100%, I mean, bravo to you. If you have achieved nothing, as in previous budget by the PNM, then it's a failure. In other words, you must establish what I would call credibility of the budget process. If you look back and say, look, we have achieved 80% of our promises, what we plan to do, then you would have established the credibility on the budget you're going to present for this year. So, I think we need to drill down into the plans for each ministry and let us understand what exactly we expect and move forward from there. So then you can measure. Then you can measure.
And the thing is that you could only measure the data you have. So
Yes, yes.
based on your deliverables, what is your outcomes, exactly what you're trying to do in your ministry of, let's say, health, for example. You want to cut down the waiting time. You want to make sure that you don't have to wait a year for an MRI or stent implant 2 years or extracting a tooth 6 months down the road. How is it? How can that be? What is the wait time with 3 days in Mount Hope, 2 days in Sando, 1 day in Point Fortin? What is
Um,
the baseline on it? And if you can get the baseline, which is the data, you can show, hell, yeah, you know what? It used to be 3 days wait time in Mount Hope, now it's 2 days. So you can see it's a 33%, 33 and a 30% improvement. So you can quantify your outcomes, your deliverables, once you can have that baseline data. Now I hear the Minister of Agriculture talk, and he say the same loose talk. We want to cut down the import bill by $4 billion for the current $7 billion in agriculture. We $7 billion in imports for the year, as it is right now. We want to cut it down by $4 billion in the next 5 years. Now, that is, to me, is just loose talk. You have to show what are you going to do to bring that down. Are you going to grow more, more food stuff? How are you going to do that? What is the target for the year? 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4, like that. So just like, don't talk like it's PNM, because they're more sensible people in the party now. Quantify, use the data and show them in your press releases, they say we wanted to improve the okra production by 20%, we have done that. Okay, arrows, we have done that. Sugarcane, we have done that. Cocoa, we have done that. So you want to see results,
Absolutely.
quantifiable results. And unless you're doing that thing to say that I want to ease up transport, man, from 2.5 hours to go into town for 5 is about to Port of Spain is 3.5 hours now. That is what the MP told me. They said it takes him 3.5 hours to go into Port of Spain. And then 3.5 hours to come back. That's 7 hours for the day.
Yeah. And Sumad, and I just want to expand on what you just mentioned. Show me or quantify or show me something how you're going to impact that problem, right, and change it. You're talking about traffic congestion. All right, we'll present a traffic plan here, right, to expand the network, expand the existing roads, look at all different alternates, and we will now we can decentralize. We can move government offices out of Port of Spain, move it to central, to the east, etc. Right, and but yeah, I like your point, and I'm going to just add to that. Quantify and show me how you're going to do it. Don't just come and say, well, we're going to cut it by half, but how, right?
This is the point. And
What structure you have in place? What plan?
Correct.
Right?
And that is,
have you collected data to support your plan?
Then that goes back to Wade's point, on the budget. You have done this, okay, you have justified yourself to get an increase of 10 million more for next year. But if you don't do those things and you can't quantify and say, budget year in, year out, just add a 10% as is normal public servant. We used to do that. I used to do that myself. And they say, what's your budget for your department this year? I had a 10%, but everybody does that. That is the policy. So it just can't be.
Excuse me there. I think somebody come with emergency by my door there. I'll go on.
All right.
Okay, take care.
Okay, Doug, we'll talk.
Yeah.
So
All
I see Trump has removed the tariff on the agricultural products there. So there seems to be some relief in that aspect. So that's a plus where what was added to us, it has been removed.
Well, I think there's more also, Gary. You mentioned working closely with the U.S. military, right, to combat drugs, promote security in the area, in the region, and we spoke about the proposal for a U.S. military or U.S. naval base in Trinidad. I mean, it's not a bad idea. I think it would be a big plus for us. It will strengthen ties even more. And we have a lot to benefit from that also.
Yes, just a mere presence, we see what happened with us is that the press, the newspapers and so on, the outlets, the business, the coverage in the media and so on is always against the UNC. So the press is not going to highlight that. They're not going to highlight and say, well, Trinidad has gotten 50% preferential treatment now on all agricultural exports, because that is a significant deliverable. It's something significant. That's an achievement.
Well, you know, we
That
all agree that there's a certain level of bias in the press also, eh? This is
all
why you
big
have to put
time.
the hard facts and the data,
And
right?
this is what I keep on saying. We need to have, you can see that they need to have their own press, their own PR team, their own communication team to get the damn results out to the public so that it can see what is 15% of how much money does that equate to? You know, is it $200 million or what? What? So the information system from the UNC needs to be upgraded big time just to counter the
Yeah.
publicity that all the other newspapers give to the PNM. None of them will highlight this achievement, that
Yeah.
15% achievement.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
and
Sumant,
you know
look at
why?
the
You know why, guys? It will show that because of Trinidad and Tobago cozying up to the US, we have been able to reap this benefit, which no other CARICOM country has been reaping. Why only us get this 50%? It was not extended to CARICOM. It was extended only to Trinidad and Tobago. And that is
we're taking the
because of,
biggest initiative there and the biggest risk, right?
yeah, correct. It's a
And
big
because you
risk.
know what, it affects us.
Yes.
The
But
crime and the drugs coming across the border there,
Ken,
directly
I'm getting
into
an
Trinidad.
echo from you. I don't know where it's coming
It's
from. I
me.
think it's an echo from you. Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Mike.
Maybe it's my mic.
so the press, the PNM press is really against the UNC, and we need to take, some countermeasures to make sure that the information gets out to the public in a timely way, not at the end of 5 years. So that is what happened at the last incarnation of the People's Partnership Government. They were able to show that, you know what, after 5 years, we built 104 schools. We built X amount of police stations. We built this, that, 50,000 jobs. But doing that or getting that information out after 5 years is not as impactful as when in year one we got this, year two we got this in addition, year three. So you're always on their face, the community, the public. You're always in their,
Man, check your mic. Check your mic.
I'm all right, Jake, you know.
Where do you hear me?
I could hear. I could
I
hear.
don't know. I'm
Can you
getting
hear
some
me?
kind of echo. I don't know what's going on. Yeah,
Can you hear me?
yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. While Sumant is fixing, you know, in the last presentation when the Prime Minister made about the future for Trinidad and what are the projects and so on, both the Savgas, that is the father and son, they were wearing yellow ties. So, so there may be a shifting of the tide.
It's called PIP.
Uh-huh. But I also want to say something. I thought, and I support the Prime Minister when she, in inverted commas, took a side. And all the CARICOM members, they're just sitting on the fence, sitting on the fence. And in this day and age, on major issues, you should not be sitting on the fence. Take a side. Of course, there are risks in that, but it's better to take a risk that you weighed the pros and cons and felt it was in your interest. But not only that, it's a question of what are your values on some of these issues that are so clear to, at least to me. If you're going to deal with drugs now, if all of those fishing boats are so fast, where are they running from if they're fishing? So I think the Americans have good cause for what they're doing, and the streets and most of the cities in America, the question of drugs is rampant. throughout those cities. So I don't see a problem what they're doing. There may be some unfair casualties, but that's the nature of the world today. And so I was glad that our prime minister took a stand on it and was not sitting on the fence. So I think that is being managed very well, and I think in the end it will pay off for Trinidad and Tobago.
Certainly, certainly.
Now you see Jamaica, and they flexing their muscles because of the
Vin,
Chinese.
your mic went very low. Your mic went very low. I don't know what's going on.
Oh my,
I'm back on Gary.
yeah, I haven't done anything. Can you hear me?
You're
Uh,
sounding very low.
very
Ken is sounding
soft.
better, but I'm still getting an echo. I don't know why.
An echo.
Yeah, I'm still hearing echo in the background.
I try to stand. Okay, I will listen to you all. It's just a few minutes again.
No, go
Gary,
ahead, go ahead.
I'm back.
We can still hear you.
Yeah, I was saying the Jamaicans and they're flexing muscles against the Americans because the Chinese have made significant investments in their ports and so on. But do you know, America, Trump said that any day they could stem the flow of remittances from America to Jamaica, which stands around $4 billion US. So I think the Caribbean has to recognize they cannot ill-treat America for the simple reason they're dependent on America on many ways. All I don't recall if China has a Jamaican community or a Barbadian community or St. Kitts community or Trinidadian community. They all they all gravitate to America or Canada or the UK. So they have to be very cautious about what they do. The Prime Minister has done very well, and I think there'll be good dividends for that posture.
Yes, I agree with you. With the thing is that we have respected more than any of the Caribbean countries.
Yeah. Yes.
Suman, go ahead.
Yes, I say we have been impacted more than any of the Caribbean countries. So we have our own axe to grind. We cannot toe the line out as the rest of Caribbean. Now, let's say we had gone against the US, meaning that we had not supported them. What would have been our position? The US, as Wade was saying, if they stop remittances back to the Caribbean islands, that means the Jamaicans living in the US or Canada and so on, and their remittances are now stopped. What about tourism? Most of the Caribbean dependent upon tourism to a large extent. Let's say there are no taxes applied to U.S. travelers visiting the Caribbean region. What's going to happen? You see, so each island has to fend for themselves, and we have been placed in this unique position of having to accommodate all these Venezuelans coming over, right, enjoying so many services, education and health services from the government here, right? No one, this strain was put on us as residents and citizens of Trinidad, not Barbados or not Jamaica or nobody else. So our situation is unique. So by us supporting the moves of Trump, I think the Prime Minister was a master stroke, and we have been seeing the benefits and the big reduction in crime, the big reduction in the amount of drugs coming in, and of course the preferential treatment, which only this week they announced for the agricultural exports. So we are reaping benefits already.
Yeah. Suman, the
And
other
hopefully there
the
should
other
be some
factor.
more once that
Yes.
conflict is over with Venezuela. and their democracy is restored, right? I think will definitely re-engage them again, and that gas deal will be once again on the table.
Oh, absolutely,
And
absolutely. I'm
So,
very
Suman,
hopeful about
you
that.
are joining from another device. I don't know what's going on, but we're getting an echo.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, it's 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 10 o'clock now.
I'm a,
Let me take leave. Let me take leave and good night to everyone. It was nice chatting again.
Okay, thank you, Faith. We will catch up another time.
Thanks a
Yeah.
lot, Wade. Have a good night.
All right.
okay,
Take
wait,
care.
okay.
Take care. Bye.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, guys, I don't know what's going on here, but I'm constantly getting another echo. Try saying something again. I don't know.
Well, you
It seems
see
like it's
here,
stopped.
yeah.
Stop.
Yeah.
Gary, you hear me?
Yeah. Go ahead.
You go ahead, Sumad.
No, no, but what I was saying, and I was trying to justify what Wade is saying. We are in a unique
Okay, right.
situation. We cannot talk CARICOM line. We have to look for our own ends. Because when we were suffering from all these Venezuelans and some coming in, nobody helped us, right? Nobody helped us. So we have to see our own end, and we already starting to see the benefits coming in there. Now, on the
Yeah.
other side, look at what's happening with our oil industry. There's proposal to open up the refinery, proposal to open up the other heritage and prior companies and so on. Where do these exports go to? Right? Where do the investors come from? Because right now they're looking for a big investor in the power plant, in the refinery. And 9 out of 10 times will be a US company. Where the people are going to do the drilling for us? Where isn't it the same Exxon Mobil or Shell or somebody? So
Yep.
I think we are going to reap the benefits of this ambience or good neighborly situation with the US than any of the other Caribbean countries.
You're absolutely right, Samad. And when we think about the problem that they're trying to combat, the drugs and the cartels and stuff, right? Now they clamp down the US Mexican border, as there's basically zero persons passing through there. It has been totally locked down. So these cartels are going to find and going to push again to find new routes, new avenues to transport their merchandise. And we're dealing with a multi-billion-dollar industry here that's not going to go away
Mhm,
anytime soon. So
mhm.
Trinidad, given our geographical location right next to Venezuela there, it's an ideal spot to infiltrate and bring in that drugs, right? So we will need the assistance of our U.S. government, the drug enforcement agents and stuff, joint task force. Um, and I definitely believe that the reestablishment of a naval base in Trinidad will definitely work in our favor, right? When it comes to crime, drugs, trafficking, etc. Because that's a
Yes.
problem we can't seem to handle. We can't seem to have a control over that, right? So I think the U.S. presence in Trinidad will definitely be a win-win situation for all, not just the U.S. but for us also in Trinidad. And more so, as I just mentioned, that once this conflict is over with Venezuela and a new government is reinstated there, right, the legitimate government, I think that this gas deal will definitely be back on stream again. And
And
that's
Suman, so 1 second, Ken. You keep joining, coming back in on another device. I don't know. You joined in twice, Suman. So I don't know what is the reason why. Because I have you twice here. So yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
yeah. So gas Dragon gas deal will definitely be back on the table once this conflict is resolved with Venezuela. You
But
know,
not only the dragon gas, you see what it happened is there was so much focus on the dragon gas that a lot of other resources was ignored. And all of a
correct,
sudden
correct.
you're seeing that they're being discovered, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Welcome,
So
Nadira. I see Riaz, Steve, Lana. I know Lindsay was here. Yeah, Lindsay is still here. Welcome everyone who's listening. Go ahead, gentlemen.
Yeah,
Marty there?
yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, go ahead. It's yours.
Right. So you see the benefits now. Dragon gas, for example, we have to get clearance from the U.S. government before we can engage.
Correct.
And we were able to get that for 6 months initially. Now, had we not again cozy up to the U.S. and knowing that the PNM put all our eggs in one basket by dumping all our foreign exchange there, what would have been the case with Trinidad had we not cozy up to the U.S. in this regard? So you see what I'm saying is CARICOM as a regional body, they do not know the problems we as an island state has. And we are going to reap the benefits of this thing. And I wouldn't be surprised. Just as Trump put
Trinidad and Tobago has to look out for Trinidad and Tobago. Prime Minister has to look out for Trinidad and Tobago first. All right, and we cannot be manipulated
Yes,
and dominated.
that's right.
We have to lead the charge.
Yes.
What we are doing, or Prime Minister is doing, is in the best interest of Trinidad and Tobago. But I just love this Batty Mamsel flying over my country here right now, and we have had such an extravagant levels of border security right now that I think is it has basically shut down the drug trade.
But not only the drug trade, PNM source of income.
Well,
The 1%
exactly.
source of income.
And I wouldn't be surprised how many Caribbean leaders are involved in the benefits of it.
Oh my God! Now you're
Gary,
talking. Now you see
these cartels are very, very powerful cartels here, and they buy politicians like they buy commodities, right? So this is why we need the U.S. presence to deal with them.
Yes.
It's not no little man from a little country is going to.
Listen to me. We don't tell Maduro how many Chinese and Iranian and Russian to come, military aircraft to come in this country. So I mean, as far as I'm concerned, Maduro can ball all he want. We could invite who we want in our country.
Absolutely. And look at the impact.
And if he plays stupid with us, hit him with full force.
Definitely. I think that's right around the corner. But coming back to Trinidad and the benefits, look at that. Drugs, there seem to be a shortage of drugs according to the newspaper, and the prices is escalating or is moving up exponentially. So it is a big plus for the persons involved in the drug trade, the illicit drug trade. They have a problem, right? For us, law-abiding citizens, productive members of society, this is a big plus for us, right?
Correct.
So the U.S. presence and what they're doing there, I will highly endorse that, because again, we are securing a future for the generations to come, right? A future without drugs, without illegal drugs, and that is a big plus moving forward.
Correct. And, as we're talking about that today, for the entire day, I've been hearing planes flying overhead, up and down, up and down, up and down. And, people are, a lady is commented, what is so-and-so, this thing, what is this? What is this? It was a drone, something just like Gary Baptiste there. And she didn't know what it was.
It's an American Baptiste Mamsel.
So she's an elderly person
because they're not used to this level of protection.
Correct. They probably think
Yeah.
But looking at the resources flying in and around Trinidad, do you think anybody want to mess with Trinidad right now?
Nobody. I tell you, here up to 11 o'clock in the night, you have all these planes going. You see them, you don't see them sometimes. Sometimes they're like the Black Hawks and them, you don't see no light, nothing, but you hear. You try to look up in the sky and you don't see nothing. You know. So I'm sure they have the full artillery in these planes and so on. So nobody is going to mess with nobody here. So in fact, I feel it gives me a certain level of comfort knowing that these planes are overhead. You know. So
How many people were snatched from our country and disappeared with no trace?
you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look at the amount,
Well,
the drop in murders, Gary.
yeah.
What's the amount of murder? 40% less, which
Yeah. Well,
equates to about 190 persons less murdered.
yeah. Yeah. About
And
40%, a 40% reduction to
yeah,
year
40%
compared to
reduction.
last year same time,
Yep.
as per the
Last year,
newspaper.
yep.
Yeah.
But
So
certain PNM don't like that. They don't like to see that result. That, you see, these are the results. What I'm saying, that our PR team need to be exposing on.
Well, how they go like that, Suman? We're showing them up. We're
You
showing
see,
them up.
but
and the data
we
don't
need
lie.
to be in their face, Gary. We need to be in their face every day, publishing this TTT news, all these newscasts and so on. If you don't have it, get our own one going, you know. But make sure this news is in their face every day. In the morning when they wake up, you will see, yes, so much. Yes, from 7,000 delinquent students, it's down to 3,000 in their face every day.
Yeah.
This is what they do. Don't wait 25 years to come and publish it now. Be in their face every day that we're going to open up the DB campus, and or the law faculty in DB campus is up and running from January next year or something like that. In their face, it needs to be
Yeah.
every
Yeah.
day. And people get, you know, be expecting now to see, we're going to get back pay. Public servants are going to get their 10% back pay by Carnival or by Christmas in their face again. So you begin to see deliverables coming
So
out.
look at this now. Look at this. Look at the screen.
Yeah, yeah. I saw this. Accuses the CPO of stalling the 10% negotiation. That is the CPO, my friend. You know who is him, right? Anybody knows him at all? It's Captain Dindial from the PNM regime.
Hmm.
He's on vacation. And when he comes back, he said he's going to deal with it.
He's trying to stall the process. What do you think he's trying to do?
No, exactly the point. Stall the process, make sure that the UNC looks bad, that they wouldn't, their promise will not be kept to get
Well,
the public
he
servant
don't want to play stupid with this young lady. She will eat him alive. And she has a
You
government
see,
that supports her right now.
And Gary, this is the thing, what I'm saying. They have senior officers who are in positions of authority. And apparently the UNC cannot get their hands on these people to either kick their ass out or just send them home or something like that, to prosecute them for breaking all these accounting rules. Just about every single PNM PS has done. They've broken all the accounting rules, you know. So that's alone is grounds for sending them home. You breach the statutory, the requirements of the government, all the, you know, the accounting procedures and so on. You breach all of those things, and you still there in the job. You see, so there was a smile with you. I keep on saying these young ministers, they don't have a clue how to deal with these permanents. These PSs, and they will wrap these ministers around their finger. And after 5 years, get very little done. You know, it has to be more aggressive. Something more aggressive
40%.
needs to be done. Look at that.
Yeah. That's a 46% year over year, same period.
When this things start to happen, Was this part of the when they started to blow up these drug guys in the Gulf?
No, I think this would have progressed from when the UNC took over. There's a natural progression
Right?
there, right?
Yeah.
But the point is, Sumar, and you just mentioned again, this is the type of data you should be in your face day in, day out. This is
Yep.
critical, crucial data here, right? Are we making big strides here with reducing the numbers? Again, these numbers don't lie, right? So it shows the government in place and the dedication to bring these numbers down and to make Trinidad safe again.
Yes.
And
Correct.
the proof is in the pudding right there. A
And also,
46% reduction, same period from last year, right?
and also the tariffs.
And the tariffs
That 15%. See how much it is in converted
is
into
going to add up.
dollars. Big
Correct.
time.
And
You
there's
need to,
there's probably more in store also, right?
yes, and push the dragon gas deal and so on. Yes,
Yeah,
this is what is expected because for the past 10 years we got nothing, but this is how many millions we spent. So let's say 300 million, zero returns,
yeah.
zero revenue.
Samad, once the Venezuelan people have regained their democracy and a legitimate leader, right?
Mm.
We wouldn't be faced with that burden where we have all those migrants coming across,
Correct.
right? To
Correct.
burden our system and our people,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
that will be a big plus also.
Mhm.
So we are poised to benefit from Venezuela fixing their problems, their political problems and stuff there. Because right now
That
it's putting
is,
a strain on us with the
yep.
immigration problem, right?
Yeah.
So it's a
And-
win-win situation for us.
Yeah.
And we will continue to support our honorable Prime Minister and the US government in resolving this conflict.
100%. 100%.
Yeah, definitely. I
Because
feel very optimistic.
yeah, I myself, um, things can be done, a lot more can be done internally now within the security apparatus in Trinidad.
Definitely, before I make any move to shift towards Trinidad, and that healthcare system has to be fixed and brought up to standard.
Yeah. Healthcare and security, if they can get these two deliverables going in the right direction, I think people tend to see and gravitate more now and see the press releases, the in-your-face kind of information all the time, and see, at least if you can stabilize things, then you can put it in a growth path. But unless these things are stabilized, to stabilize these things, you have to get rid of certain people. You have to get rid of some certain people, boy.
I agree with you totally.
They will obstruct.
We have a man on the job here who can get the job done.
Oh, big time.
Yeah,
Big time.
definitely.
But I work with him. Tim he's a fighter bad boy too. He can get the job done, but I want to see these people who have done the job, people who have made the mistakes all along, they should be punished.
That's not a mistake. That's high class wickedness. That's not a mistake. When you cause people to suffer in the country, and you cause people to die, and you cause people to lose their limb, I cannot forgive that. That's not mistake. That is high class wickedness, and you have to be dealt with severely.
And that, you know what? UNC will get so many bonus points if we can start doing these things and say, hey,
but we did that before. We did that before. In between 2020 and 2015, quite a bit was fixed right.
Yeah, but that it was not communicated. That is the point.
I understand that, but we have a tougher job now. We have a greater job to do now than between that period there. The system is it is worse.
They recognized that one of the shortcomings when it did the analysis for 2010, 2015, that the communication department, they failed. The UNC was very lapsed in that. And they should, that's one of the things along with the health and the security, is to get the communication going big time. Some newspapers may not publish what Tim has done so far, or what he, just in the second or third or fourth page in the newspaper. That should be front page. Saved 100 million over in 2 months' time.
Yeah.
That should be front page, and that's what I meant. Yeah, it has to be in your face. So whether it's a
Yeah.
television station or whatever means.
Well,
Or
we
the
here are going to do our part.
Yeah, but if we want a wider, a much broader base of people to see these things. Okay, laptops is going to be distributed this month. This should be in their face all along. For the past 10 years, how much was given? Now, in 1 year time, what they did in 10 years, we have done this in 1 year time.
So, but correct me if I'm right, if I'm wrong, but didn't the PNM reduce the amount of national scholarships that they would usually give out
big time.
What's that, the Cape student?
Yeah,
students?
Dr. When Bopi Singh
It
was
was
there, I was
slashed
working
from
with him.
it was slashed from 250 to 100,
350.
350. And what it
Yeah.
is now?
It's they say it's around 100, but they're giving them bursaries for the other 250
Okay.
students. But it's a big but in it. Do you know the criteria of getting a bursary? Nobody knows. Nobody knows the criteria. They're doing what's called a means test. Means if your parents are kind of middle class or lower middle, you can't get. So who is it favoring, you think? Read between the lines and you'll see. That's one thing. Secondly, out of the 350, who were the majority of the students who got scholarship, not ethnicity wise?
I want to say it's brown skin people
Right.
in Indian.
Right. Correct. It's correct. So they were against that. Now they giving it to 100. Who would think in that 100? And who are the ones going to get the bursaries? Nobody knows. You see the data once you begin to play with the data, man. Data doesn't lie. Never lies.
So that's an area where we need to fix also, right?
Man, it needs fixing big time.
Yeah, because education is something we need to promote education,
And
not wage a
what
war on
reason?
it.
And not
Right?
only that,
Regardless of race, politics, education should be something impartial, and any government should continue to push that, not take it away, like what the PNM did there. Right? That is a big
correct.
disservice, a big blow to the education system and to the future leaders.
And
right?
population is quiet on these things.
But
No,
listen,
well, here-
they voted. We know the election was kind of hijacked a little bit. But just imagine those who came out and voted for PNM, knowing that the fact that your children was given resources to benefit themselves and build their lives. How brilliant are you? How really brilliant are you to knowing the things that was done under the UNC, and you voted and you saw what Dr. Rowley did in the first 5 years, and you went back and voted for him, locking out your family out in the country and all these kind of things?
They didn't mind that, Gary.
All your sickening. All your sickening.
Race is something different, boy. Race is something different. They could be what? When their mind is made up to vote within a certain clan, they will do it regardless. Even though you're better off when in 2010.
I am thankful to those young people who came out and vote.
Yep.
In a landslide.
I wouldn't be surprised that most of them who did that, the younger people, I should say younger Afro-Chinese who came out and voted for the UNC were the ones who were educated using the laptop during that 5-year period, that they were given laptops. So they became much more educated or more upper scale than the rest of their normal traditional Afro-Chinese. And we could see that.
This young generation is a different group of people we're dealing with, I don't think they're not gonna take any kind of bullshit from people,
Exactly,
right?
exactly,
They're gonna stand
exactly.
up. They have the power of information at their fingertips, and they can tell
That's
you
right.
what is accurate, what is bullshit, what is fake news,
You
right?
know,
And they have the
you know how much people, how many relatives went against them heavily for
Correct.
their decision.
Correct.
yeah,
Correct.
and
Correct. Absolutely.
and that is something important. We have to recognize that, right, and be able to provide an opportunity for all. That's why I said,
No,
But
everybody.
education.
they saw a prime minister with their best interests at heart, and that is what they came out with.
Yeah, of course,
Yes.
definitely. Compared to the other fellow
So
who talking about talking about coal pot and bicycle and all kind of nonsense, and roasting breadfruit on a coal pot and all nonsense, right?
yeah.
You think anybody want to hear that piece of crap, right? People want to hear something realistic, something that will
Well,
affect their
take a
future.
look and see what kind of vehicle the coal pot man riding in, and see if he really riding a bicycle.
Yeah, again,
Yeah.
but look,
But
we are moving forward. If we're gonna stumble and fall, let's fall forward, not backward, right? So far, things are looking
correct.
good with the homicide numbers, 46%, same time last year, and we're only 6 months in government, so things are going to improve. But we have to be persistent and continue to perfect what we're doing, and I see a lot of a lot of optimism moving forward.
I see a lot of optimism moving forward, but I see that they will be constrained by these people in the upper echelons, decision makers. I think they will try their best to stuntify the growth and development, even
Well, the
though they
present government
list.
has to have a system to work around that, and I hope
Correct.
they
They need
have.
to have.
You
They
know,
need to. I don't think they have that, Ken.
because you don't want anybody to pigeonhole you and keep you in a position, right? Then fluster things. 5 years pass and we haven't achieved anything, right?
You see, this is what their goal is. This is what the PNM goal is, to make sure. Remember, the PNM always say, no, you all may have won the election, but we are still in power. By that they mean that the decision makers in the country are still PNM. That is what it's telling you. They control the commanding heights. Even though the PNM has lost the election, we we control the heights of this economy. And you look at the certain, as I say, public servants in particular. Look at these state boards and these statutory boards. They had 150 statutory boards, from what I understood, or boards in general. Imagine that 150 and have about 8 or 10 persons in the board. See who are those, who made the decisions to buy tickets for carnival fêtes and so on.
Yeah,
With
yeah.
state money, private
Cut down the wastage. Cut
people's
down the
money.
wastage.
Cut down the wastage. They should be fired. They should be prosecuted for
Well,
as a board taking that decision,
yeah,
because there's precedent set on that. It's precedent set on the sport TT board on the 2010 to 2015. The judge found them that they had to pay, each member had to pay X amount of dollars back to the state for taking wrong decisions. So there's precedent on all these boards. Start to prosecute them. You see, this is what will make people say, this government is serious, boy.
that's correct.
As a
That's correct.
senior public servant, I ain't taking that chance anymore. Let me do what I have
Yeah.
to do, the kind of thing. You have to create a new mindset and get some of these high decision makers on your side. And once you can do that, that is where it will evolve into faster deliverables. But if you continue at this time, the current method, you have to either do one or two things: fire them or bypass them. And the only way you could bypass it, what we suggested from way back, we have to have a big think tank, 200 people or whatever it is we want to call it, who will assist each minister in each ministry. Oh, by the way, Gary, last night the same person was saying the same thing. They are exactly the same thing I was listening to her.
And you talking about nobody ain't hearing me?
No,
You must
no,
go and check the views.
she probably come to her senses. That is what I think. But never said these things before. Now, after 6 months, you realize, you like, see. Anyway, let me go on like that. But really have to replace these
She was
executive.
PIP. She was PIP before. Now she became a
Yeah,
PIP again.
yes, yeah. Now she's saying, oh, you need to have these public servants. You have to keep them there, but they have these ministries should have their own independent people now, as decision makers. Well, what have we been saying since May? The same thing. Have a core cadre of people that the government can call on any time. Dealing with, say, a Ministry of Investment, Trade and Business and Tourism, call on the people that expertise within the 200 people who will form the core implementers. Now, government has good plans, eh? No two ways
But
about that.
listen, it's not a matter of calling. Those 200 people have to be ahead of the game by bringing this information before being called. That's the way I see it.
Yeah,
That's the level of
yeah,
thinking, right? That's like how we just
yeah.
send information, and this is what we think. We see this happening, and we make a recommendation. That
But,
is what is
Gary,
supposed to be done. All right.
but we doing it for free. They ain't going to do that. That 200 people ain't going to do that.
But the thing about it, the way we see that, if the country improve, it benefits us, right? I
Everybody.
mean,
Yeah, definitely.
I would like to see the country benefits, whether I'm contributing or not. I mean, I live in here. So it is in my interest to advise or wherever I can do anything to make sure that, in the long run, everybody benefits. That's okay. Whether I get paid or not, it's fine.
everybody wins.
Absolutely.
You get
Absolutely.
paid one way or the other. You go to the country and you're getting good health care. That's a payment.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's exactly how I see it. I go on instead of taking a taxi, let me ride a bus. I could have bus, 4 or 5 houses from me. Okay, that'd be nice. I could get a bus to Port of Spain right here. From Sipara to Port of Spain, from Sipara to UV, or Sipara to Mount Hope, which is on the run. They used to have that. Mind you, in 2010, when Pani was it, they used to have that. You could get a bus from Sipara to UE, from the airport.
If I could walk the country safe and go about my business without an issue, that's a payment for me.
That's a big plus.
Correct.
Yeah.
You can go there. So the people who are going to advertise or help with the trade and investment and tourism and so on, there are lots of business people around. They could give you good advice. But the thing is that, are they going to accept that advice? And that is the thing. So I see certain ministers, certain ministries, nothing is going to happen. And certain others, I see a lot of things can happen positively.
Well, listen to me. The prime minister is entitled to change a minister if she don't feel that
And
they're
I think,
performing, right?
and I really think
And
after a year,
she wouldn't hold back on that. All right.
I wanted to crack the whip after the first year. After the first year, crack the whip. What have you achieved this year? Tell me, what was your plan? What did you achieve? Okay, you get a score. I have a score sheet. Say, you know what, man? You lapsed out. Take a little rest. Become a parliamentary secretary and have someone take over and run with it. Because I don't know, the younger ones falling into a little trap here. The younger, not experienced ministers. I mean, people like Dr. Gopi Singh and this guy, Vasant Bharat and all them fellas, they're good guys. Why aren't they in government? you know, this lady who was in charge of public admin in the last time around, she's a good lady. They had a plan. They had a plan to create jobs and so on. This new guy, he just said today, he comes and he apparently, I mean, I don't say nothing negative, but I don't think, as a minister, you need to have a foresight exactly where you want to go. And apparently these guys, some of these new ministers, ain't cutting it. Ain't cutting it. They won their seats, and that
listen to
was
me.
enough.
Nothing is written in concrete, and Boss Lady will deal with things as she see fit.
I
So let's give it some time.
Crack the whip on them after a year, maybe 18 months, and see, you know what, this is what you're supposed to do. This is the plan. This is your manifesto for your ministry. What have you delivered? And start to measure it like that. So another thing today, I see the one where they wanted to Ministry of Works hiring about 1,000 people. They're doing the interviews and so on today, this week, actually. Shortlisting them for work starting next month. So that is the drainage and roads and department. Now, you see, 20,000 jobs as an advertiser. I don't know how much of that they're going to fill. Before year end or before Carnival next year or during the year. Nobody knows when are these positions going to fill it. A lot of teaching positions are also going to be filled. I saw the Minister of Education yesterday ask, and he can only ask, he cannot instruct. He asked the Teaching Service Commission to speed up on the appointment of teachers and heads of departments and so on, both for primary and secondary school. But if you know how these service commissions work, Public Service Commission, Teaching Service Commission, Police Service Commissions, they are unto a law unto themselves, A law unto themselves. I remember when Tim was there and I was there as one of the directors in Ministry. It took them over 2 years to appoint about 10 or 12 teachers. That's the rate at which they were delivering. Because you had the same people from the previous regime there all going along, no changes made. And you can't appoint 12 teachers over 2 years. Come on, man, what's heck? What is it? When there are thousands and thousands of vacancies, from what I understand, it's about over 2,000 and something vacancies in teaching. So as a minister, you can only ask the Teaching Service Commission to expedite things, but you have no authority. And this is why legislation is important, to make sure that, change these people, change the process of hiring teachers like they used to do long time. By a board, if you belong to a certain religion, let's say I'm a Presbyterian, I want to teach in a school, the Presbyterian board can hire me and then send the instructions back to the Teaching Service Commission. That's how it used to be, But now it's no longer like that. You have to go through the process, and that the process is deliberately being slowed down.
The process is flawed.
It deliberately slowed it down because they have the wrong people there.
Then we should have some policy or some kind of document where there's a turnaround time, right? For certain things.
Correct. And that's why
I send an application, for example, let me just give you an example. Let's say someone sent an application for an FUL, right? That should only take 6 months. from start to finish, and you should get a letter saying, hey, we have denied the application, that's it, based on XYZ, right?
Mhm.
You know, because we have a lot of criminal activity, right? And people need to have that sense of security and safety in their homes.
Yep.
And I would like to
And for
see
me,
the commissioner of police issue a report every quarter stating that I have signed 2,000 applications, or have granted 2,000 FULs
correct.
for this quarter, right? And that is what I would want to see.
And
Not having him sit down there and people being, if you're stifling the whole process, and
yeah.
frustrating people with the application process and stuff. So yeah,
And,
so that's something that's an area that needs improvement, because again, that is
and
also flawed. The whole process is flawed there.
not to mention the openness for bribery and all this kind of thing.
Oh yeah, definitely,
These
So
things. Yeah.
hold people accountable, add stipulated time for certain documents, time sensitive, whether it's an FUL application, that should be from filing date to end date. They should close that file up in 6 months, nothing more than 6 months, right? And the
Yeah.
COP, Commissioner of Police, should provide a quarterly report to the minister, in charge there, stating that, hey, this is what we have done. We have done 1,000 applications. Next quarter with 2,000. If it drops to 500, then we ask ourselves, what happened, right?
Correct.
So the
And to
data
be
is
held
there.
accountable. Yeah.
Correct.
So you see,
And
when it takes Teaching Service Commission 2 years to appoint 12 teachers, you have to be in a position to say, teaching service, we have 2,000 vacancies. We want 1,000 be filled before December. This term. Next term, you clean out the other 2,000, the other 1,000. Because there are thousands of applications, literally thousands and thousands.
And Sumar,
So they have a large pool to go home.
Why should the students suffer because of their incompetence, right?
Correct.
We need good
Correct.
teachers, and here it is. Everything has to be processed through a board, a statutory board there in place where nobody could touch them or tell them anything, how to do their job, right? And you have 1,000 people, 1,000 positions, and they're only processing or interviewing and accepting 12 persons per year, 2 years. I mean, that is ridiculous.
Yeah.
That is incompetence beyond
So
the
you
word
see,
itself.
when it says systems are broken, this is what I really mean: the system to do anything.
Stop
to achieve
using the word broken. It is corrupt and rotten.
Yeah. And
Broken
that
is
the
an
kind of-
accidental thing. This is a thing that is done by the willfully
Correct.
done.
And Gary,
High
that's a good
class
point.
wickedness.
And that's what the kind of data we need to put on the front page there, right?
Yeah.
12 teachers appointed in 2 years, right?
And look here, as we're doing 1,000 1 semester.
Yeah, exactly. And let's ask questions now from the teaching service commission or whatever.
Don't wait 5 years to do that, because that becomes stale news. Everybody think, Trinidad's mindset, 7 days wonder. Hit them in their face right away when they do it.
Yeah. Because you can't hold the system hostage, and no one should be allowed or given that position or that power to hold the system hostage. Right?
You can easily say in your 2 semesters you have employed 2,000 teachers to fill the vacancies in the key areas.
Yeah.
And so you move. Then you can go back now to your normal way. Right now you need something to circumvent the system. Circumvent meaning to expedite it or exponentially. Because this November, school closed next one month from today, or less than a month from today. Primary schools, secondary schools. No, they don't appoint nobody in the holidays. So whatever it is going to be appointed, hopefully in January, February. See, so this is how the system is, boy. They deliberately slow down the system, and it tells me you have to believe when PNM say we lost the election, but we're still in control. This is what they're telling you. Subtly Just like they did with the scholarships, the 350 scholarships. What they did, PNM did right away, bring it down to 100, and the rest will give bursaries. And to get bursaries, you have to get your means test. And the means test is whoever middle class, lower middle, again, nothing. You have to be on the bottom layer. And who is at the bottom layer financially?
I heard. In fact, we have had a friend who was working ministry, and they really how much discrimination was taking place under this ministry back in the 70s and 80s, and
You
you
telling me
know,
that, man? I can give you first-hand evidence.
yeah. I forgot you were a teacher too. Yeah, so
No, I got a teacher because the big board appointed me. Okay, you go ahead and start to teach. And that's how we get. And then the paperwork it took 3 months before I got salary, but that's okay. I didn't care. Yeah, but the thing is, Gary, they have to find ways to solve some of these problems, these issues. And if you have to change these kind of commissions,
you have to have the willpower to do this, and you have to be willing to
correct.
put up the fight, and you have to have enough
Yeah.
people willing to stand with you. But most of the people are too chicken-hearted, in the sense to stand up with you, so you can't pursue anything. If you don't have people willing to stand up with you, you can't
No.
proceed.
But you see, you could do these things differently, okay?
And then if you have people who sell you out for their own interest, then you can't proceed.
So let's say out of the 2,000 teaching vacancies right now, you have 1,000 are in South. And in South has 4 education districts: St. Patrick, Victoria, that Princestown, and Rio Claro, Mayaro. Why can't the districts be sorting out the applications to fill the vacancies in their area? Why it has to go to Teaching Service Commission in Port of Spain, who delay this thing, that thing. Do a decentralization process. Okay, Victoria Education District needs 200 teachers. In 1 month time, you'll flush out the people, interview them and so on. And you can do that rather than have one Teaching Service Commission sitting on and a meeting once every 2 weeks and what have you. How is that an efficient system?
Yeah.
And
Anyway, guys, we're doing our show tomorrow night, and so if you guys are available, I have one of the councilor coming to talk about what they've been doing. So we're expecting, hopefully everything works out for tomorrow night.
All right, not a problem.
Yeah, no problem. And what they're saying, Gary, now with AI and so they can screen that 2,000 applications overnight. They can screen that 2,000 applications overnight. A shortlist them right away.
Yeah,
If they want to do it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So
it's this system. It has to circumvent these systems, these commissions, and so on. Have to, because you will tend to believe is what PNM saying is quite true. Now, we lost the election, but we're still in power. And you get that feeling. So all in all, I see hope. I don't see hope in a few ministries, but I see good hope in others. This revitalization project is something nice.
We got work to do. Yeah.
A lot of work
Yeah.
to do. And some people have to at least, you see, the government somewhere along the line needs to prioritize the wait now. This, is teaching service really like this? No, let's tackle this problem once and for all and get rid of this situation. Let it become a within 2 months or 3 months. These things
totally
people
agree.
will see, and they will see, my government is working for me, man. This is the way I like
Yeah.
to see. Okay, I can go and get an MRI in less than a month. Okay, that's okay. That's a fair time. Not 2 years down the road. That's where I need a stent and he going through heart problems and so on. And you're telling guy come next year at this time. All these things, you have to circumvent the system to make it more expeditious. And
Yeah,
to do
certainly.
that, to create the
Certainly.
systems in place. In some cases, legislation may be needed, and start to hold people accountable. Once you hold people accountable, man, you start to see and you threaten them with gratuity and pensions. The day you mess up, that going through the door.
Yeah.
You know, these
That's
things
right.
that you have to do it like aggressively. But unless these things are done, if you're waiting for public servants to change anything, them in their own little module there in the office, their own castle, they might shift in nothing. They might shift in nothing at all. So
Well,
this is just based on my experiences. I've been through a long time, and all from 86 to 2015. And I've seen it happen firsthand. Yeah.
well, as
All right,
Gary
guys,
mentioned, we
and
have a lot
Yeah.
of work to do. And
yeah, right.
so Gary, tomorrow we back on 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock?
I'll let you know. Let me see what time he's available. Most likely it's 7 our time, 8 Trinidad time.
All right. I'll see if
All
I'm
right.
available. I'll definitely join.
Yeah.
All right. Me
All
too.
right,
I'm
then,
not
guys.
sure, but
All right.
yeah.
Good night,
care.
everybody.
All right,
Bye.
guys. Good night. Thanks again. Take care.